I'll just kind of start off there, talk a little bit about the project itself and what the expansion will entail for students who make the trip across the ocean.
Absolutely. Well, we officially opened our first building on the Wexford campus um, at the end of 2019, which seems like an age ago. And of course, that was as far as we got because COVID hit. So we were kind of stymied. So we actually didn't really get going until 2023. And we had a short runway in that year to recruit. But 2020, well, I guess that was 2022, 23. Um, Let me start all over again because I got my dates mixed up. So
No
yeah,
worries.
so 2019 was our opening and also the opening of COVID. And then, yes, it was 2023 that we had our first cohort of students studying just during the summer of that year because our runway was very brief for recruitment. So then in 2024, we had pretty much full programs both in spring and summer. And then in this year, 2025, we actually went to a wait list for our programs. So we're really delighted with the uptake across a tremendous number of disciplines. We want the Wexford campus to look like our other campuses in Savannah and Statesboro and Hinesville. Uh, we're a big, comprehensive university. We're teaching a whole range of skills, really emphasizing workforce readiness. And so, unlike some study abroad programs that tend to focus on a relatively narrow brand of humanities courses, literature, and history, we definitely teach those courses, but we're also doing public health and business and really a broad range of disciplines. So we're really happy with progress. We're certainly meeting all of our targets. And in fact, for 2026, we'll expand a little bit ahead of schedule with some additional programs. So I say all that to say that the Wexford campus is meeting and even exceeding our goals. And we've got a great faculty team here that's encouraging students and giving students a really deep and meaningful and safe opportunity, adding value to their various majors and minors. So with that in mind, obviously we need to be very mindful of costs. Georgia Southern is very much about cost equity. I'm the first person in my family to go to college, and so I'm very mindful that Georgia Southern is a place that really creates opportunity for the young people in our region. And in fact, some of our students are not so young. Like we have people who are retooling in their professions and upskilling. In fact, I think our oldest student on the Wexford campus so far was in her early 60s. So just gives you an idea of the appeal of the place. But we want to get the costs where people can really see their way to spending several weeks in Ireland. And accommodation is the single biggest expense, night after night, having to put a roof over your head. So if we have control of the accommodation, we're not going out into the regular for-profit marketplace, we can drive costs down. And I know that our president, Dr. Carl Marrero, has been really insistent that he wants the experience in Wexford to cost nothing more than the experience in Savannah or Statesboro. So the only outstanding expense is the airfare, and we're really working hard and have been very successful in bringing in gift and scholarship money. Every student who went to Ireland in 2025, as in 2024, benefited from $1,000 in gift money to help really offset the lion's share of the cost of flying. So, with the confidence in hand, we're going to be able to make the experience of Wexford um, cost competitive with the experience on our Georgia-based campuses. So that's a really visionary and bold idea on Dr. Moreira's part, and I think it really speaks to his student-focused leadership. In many ways, you could argue that we don't have to do this, but it's really critical to who and what we are and our ethos as uh, a very accessible, high-quality university.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that was a great point that you brought up that not only does this give you better facilities in Wexford, but it's also going to drive down the cost or the hopes of
Exactly.
driving down the costs to allow for more opportunities. But specifically, the project itself, could you talk a little bit about what the convent will be transformed into over the next couple of years so that people
Sure, yeah.
will have what will students or prospective students be able to expect if they make this trip in the future?
Absolutely. So let's just sort of backtrack and talk a little bit about what the convent is as a building. So it was constructed in the year 1886. So as regards what the students will experience, they're going to live in what I imagine is probably the oldest building or one of the oldest buildings in the Georgia Southern portfolio, right? So we're, in Savannah, you've got lots of wonderful old buildings, but the Georgia Southern Armstrong campus is a mid-century, mid-20th century, so not a historic mansion by any means. But this is an absolutely stunning building architecturally. It's considered one of the gems of the town of Wexford, and it is really an iconic structure. It was built by a woman, which adds a whole lot of special texture to it, I think. It was built by a woman for women, for the Adoration Sisters. So in Savannah, obviously, very much beloved order, the Mercy Sisters, Vincent's Academy and St. Joseph's Hospital and so forth. So if we can kind of imagine just the esteem that the nuns are held in Savannah, it's very similar in Wexford. So this order is called the Adoration Sisters. At their height, they were about 49 sisters living in the convent, and each of them had her own bedroom or cell, is what they called it. We won't be using that word for our students. Um, and so it's actually a fairly straightforward conversion because the interior of the building is configured as 50 bedrooms. So we're adding some more bathroom and shower facilities that are currently in the building. But it's a pretty straightforward job. We're modernizing, insofar as we're putting in new heating systems, new security system. Student safety is always job number one for us as a university, irrespective of where we are. But in Ireland, it's a big step for students and their parents to make this trip. Wexford is an incredibly safe town, and Ireland is the third safest country in the world. The police in Ireland don't carry firearms. But we're layering on as much security as we can, just for peace of mind. So the students will be living, Dr. Marrero has used the analogy of Hogwarts. So the building has this lovely, in architectural terms, it's a neo-Gothic building. So a building from the late 1800s, but really modeled on beautiful buildings from the 1400s, the medieval period. Um, Gorgeous woodwork, heart pine, oak, mahogany, um, beautiful windows with functional wooden shutters, um, beautiful wooden and tiled floors, really high ceilings. Um, so it's just got a wow factor. And I like to make the comparison with one of our great traditions here at Georgia Southern, which is Paulson Stadium. When students come to Southern, as part of the Eagle Nation, a memory you take away for the rest of your life are those Saturday afternoons at football, right? And that becomes part of your Georgia Southern identity. And we want to make sure that that convent is for all the students who, over the generations, will use it. That will become part of their Georgia Southern memory as well. It really speaks to the fact that Georgia Southern cares about the student experience. So, again, I mean, always like to sort of think about what we could have done, as opposed to what we have chosen to do. I mean, what we could have done is take a fairly modern, nondescript cinder block building and say, well, that's good enough. But we're not really a good enough university. We're a best university, right? We're trying to soar to best. And so these kind of investments really speak to our ambition and our ethos.
Absolutely.
So we'll
And
have, I was going to say,
yeah,
we'll have about 50 bedrooms. We'll actually be able to accommodate around 55 or so students. We do find that certain students will have special needs, and so they require a companion in their living space. So we'll have a number of bedrooms as well. And it'll be a holistic living environment. So we'll have three of the four floors will be dedicated to bedrooms, and then we'll have a living floor, which will have common rooms. It will have a library and then a lot of dining and cooking. Again, thinking about cost, um, going out to eat every night is expensive. So we'll have fully equipped self-catering facilities. There's a large supermarket literally just steps away from the convent, so students will be able to buy and cook their own food. And we find that they like to cook for each other as well. You know, we're definitely into creating a sense of community and mutual responsibility, and no better place than the table in which to manifest that. So shared meals are always the best meals. So yeah, so we're a very holistic living experience. And an absolutely incredible feature of the building is its grounds. So there's an acre and a half of walled garden, mature garden that really provided much of the nuns' sustenance. They grew vegetables, they very kind um, intervention of a donor. We're getting a series of proposals for the essentially revitalization of that garden. So it'll be an absolutely superb space. We'll have a meditation area, we'll have an outdoor classroom, we'll have places where our biology and agricultural science students where they can roll up their sleeves and do plant biology and crop rotation and all sorts of stuff. So the whole place will be a living and learning environment.
absolutely. Just kind of final question because you've been able to give me a lot of great information. What does this investment mean, kind of for the future of the Wexford campus? Obviously, taking these steps shows that there's a commitment to grow and invest and expand. What could this launch in the future for prospective Georgia Southern or Eagles who make the trip over?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that I think is such a great question because we are piecing together a capital C campus, right? So right now we have a sort of lowercase c campus, but our ambition is to make this international European footprint a fully vital and vibrant part of the Georgia Southern experience. And you're very right to bring up alumni. In fact, every year for the last 4 years, we've had an alumni trip to Ireland focused on the campus. And it's very much worth emphasizing that the monies that we are spending to realize all of our ambitions in Wexford are not state of Georgia taxpayer monies. We are very respectful of our taxpayer funded enterprises, but we are doing the Wexford project entirely with philanthropic dollars, many of which come from our alumni. So already the alumni are profoundly invested in this experience. You know, we are thinking about can we have our students be competitive in a really world-class way? And we're really serious about that. And in order to do that, our students need to have the possibility not just to study abroad, but also to research abroad and to undertake internships abroad. And that's something I'd like all of the viewers to really understand about what we're doing. You know, we're so passionate about Savannah and the region. We are a pipeline for the talent that's going to build and sustain all of the sectors of our economy and our culture and our civic life in Savannah, from healthcare to the arts to health, public health. So we are really opportunity forward at the Wexford campus. So having a place where the students can be at home, so maybe they're on a 7 or 14 week or even half year internship. They need somewhere to live that's sustaining for them, that's nurturing for them. We can do international internships. We can do long-term research projects if we have the residential capacity that the convent brings on board. So it's the critical element. We already have beautiful classrooms. We are about to open up an interim research center, and we have ambition to create a freestanding research center in due course. But yeah, the convent is a game changer.
Absolutely. Is there anything that I haven't asked or you haven't got a chance to say about this project that you think people should know about?
Yeah, I think the one thing I would add, and it's something that everybody who visits the Wexford campus remarks upon. We had the great joy and privilege of having the Speaker of the House, John Burns, and his wife, Miss Dale, and some of their team at the Wexford campus earlier this year. And they, as everybody else does, remarked on just the phenomenal network that we enjoy in Wexford. You know, the people of Wexford have taken Georgia Southern and Savannah to their hearts. So many of the Irish community in Savannah emigrated 180, 170 years ago uh, to Wexford. And so this is a kind of homecoming, but the friendliness, the genuine warmth of the welcome, and the desire to create opportunities, to shadow professionals, to talk with leaders, to roll up our sleeves and engage with healthcare provision or looking at we had a wonderful symposium now 2 years old called Women in Leadership. The fact that people like there was a woman Irish Army officer, a woman engineer who runs a large engineering concern. These are very busy people, and they all gave up a whole morning and lunchtime to meet our students. You don't get that everywhere, and the professionalization and the workforce readiness value of those kind of experiences. So it's such a great place in which to set up for the long term. So I do want to emphasize that just the extraordinary welcome and desire to work with us that we experience in Wexford. It's a special place.